honestly happy to coordinate this program and delighted to have Judy Vierow back with us after what we figured about 15 years. I invited you to be an artist in Conversations and Coffee, and your work is just so delightful, Judy. And I love the show Where the Wild Things Are. Judy had her work with Evangelia Polypidas and is now with us with these marvelous examples. And I said, Judy, tell me, what's going on here? And she is working at the main library and enjoying, as she says, getting out and about and being with the team, which is just great. And you're going to have a show in the Metro Park.
Yes, High Banks.
In High Banks.
I'll have a show, actually, it's not my show. It's a show with the Central Ohio Music Festival. And it'll be on Saturday and Sunday this week. So if you're out looking for a music festival, under the big tent, there'll be a whole bunch of artisans and craftsmen.
Oh, great. And you'll be one of them.
I'll take one of them, yes.
And
It's located where? I'm sorry.
It's at High Banks Metro Park.
High Banks?
Yeah.
Well, say where High Banks Metro Park is.
Well, I don't know exactly.
I'm new to the area.
I'm not a driver.
High Street north of 270.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Good.
thank you. I always,
On the left-hand side.
Going north.
On the
Going
left.
north.
yeah, okay, great. Yeah,
Judy, I want to share your, I don't know, resiliency, I'd say. That's a word over these years. Having lost your husband, who answers when you call Judy.
I've left this message.
And I say, keep it there. It's beautiful. How he is speaking for you. Only 2.5 years ago, he died. And Judy, being resilient, is going on as she is grieving loss. She is painting, created something new here as an approach, carries her education. Your undergraduate was in Oklahoma, and then in painting, and then came here to Columbus and studied, got your master's degree at Ohio State University, and continues this life as an artist. And it's part of your resiliency.
Absolutely. I think everybody here can probably relate to that. You know, you're kind of born an artist. And hold it right up. You're kind of born an artist. I think by age 4, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I couldn't verbalize it, but I knew I was happiest doing that. So, and everybody here, I think, probably has similar experiences. You know, you kind of bounce back because you've got your art to go to. You know, if you don't have art, and I have some of Jay's family who's been very good to me. So that's about what you need. So let's see. These are older pieces, except for the sock monkeys. The sock monkeys is.
What do you call this?
Sock monkeys. I did a whole series of them.
My grandmother used to make them for me.
Right. Those are a picture of sock monkeys.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a whole collection of them. And
Yeah, I do. From my childhood, I do see one. Of course.
They got the
I do, and it
big
was
red
gray.
lips and
Yes, I do remember
brown
sock monkeys.
yeah, oh,
Oh, thank
absolutely.
you.
They're quite a collector's item now. I have a friend who has a whole collection, and she let me borrow some. So I did a whole series, and they've gone off to their respective homes or art galleries or whatever. This is the only one I've got left.
Oh, I can imagine how popular they could be.
Well, I don't think they were very popular,
Oh.
but I think they
No, I
attracted
mean,
attention.
your paintings, I mean. That's delightful.
And nowadays I do some other boxes and I like doing the boxes. But that got me into painting on canvas, and now I'm doing more painting on canvas than I am on the good watercolor paper. These are all done on watercolor paper.
Now, let's see, which one shall we hold up here?
Oh, the wild things.
How about beware of these
Friendly
friendly
dog.
dogs?
Yeah. That was the same friend who has the sock monkeys. She had a whole troop of dogs. And some of them are no longer with us, but they made a great picture. And,
Now, when you go about this, where are you? Are you at an easel? Are you?
no, I have a huge, old-fashioned drawing table, a technical drawing table, and it's sitting up in a bedroom, and I have a lot of, it's packed on top. I can't seem to get rid of the pack, everything. Boxes of paints and brushes and everything is sitting there. And I work on this little tiny area, and the rest of it's all full.
Now, what would be your thoughts about that? About the artistic process? Having all those things everywhere, and then this place you're working. Is that not?
I just think, like, for me, sometimes I get paint on my bedspread because I'm painting there. My dog's laying there and I'm painting there. And sometimes I'm on a piece of rug, but I have a table and I have an easel and I have paints and stuff, but it's like wherever I am, I'm just doing it. It doesn't matter.
Right, yeah. And it's sort of, everything looks kind of helter-skelter, but I know where it is.
Yeah.
And is that okay with everybody? That's called horizontal filing, right? And it's very healthy. It's very typical of the artistic process, because having to have everything just perfect.
There are people that do that. I don't know
Anybody
how.
in here have to have everything perfect? If you are also a painter or a sculptor or...
I do.
Tell us about
Well,
it.
not perfect, but organized.
Very organized. And so what are you painting, or what are you creating in that process?
My palette is a mess, but my paints are in a
Your
drawer.
palette's a mess, but
Yeah.
everything else is in
Yeah,
order.
so
Well, that's a healthy description of your brain, huh?
exactly.
That's wonderful, because in that cognitive behavioral process, there is that area that really calls for that kind of letting
Free
go.
thinking.
Yeah, free thinking. That's great. That's great. Said.
Yeah, and they say you can be more creative being organized, but can't seem to get past
Be
it.
more creative being yourself, Judy, right?
Yeah.
Right,
That's wonderful.
Well, you are organized.
on my paintings, but
Yeah, even if your workspace is organized for you.
yeah.
Very good.
Very good. I get to the point though where I have to stop what I'm doing and clear out the deck.
That works too, yeah.
Yeah. And then it begins to come back after a while,
Yeah,
you know, and
that's
then
good.
I clear it out again.
Well, tell us about these doggies. Now, you have a cat, don't you?
I have one cat, yes. His name is Bubba, he's black and white, he's ancient, he's 17 years old, and he has a heart problem. I have to give him medicine twice a day, and he's hanging in there. I don't know how long this could go on. I've heard that people who mind their pets, who need medication, can, extend their lives by 7 years, and that seems a long time.
Yeah.
But I feel responsible for him, so,
Wonderful.
Their time frame is shorter than ours, I think.
yeah.
Mine died at 17, or at least, I don't know exactly how. And once they start to get sick, it comes pretty fast.
Well, she's taking care of that medication, what, twice a day?
Yeah.
Is this the kitty cat?
Well, no, that's the jazz singer. The
The jazz
jazz musicians.
That's
Oh.
cute.
There's a whole bunch of dogs grooving.
Animal jazz.
And there's a sock monkey in there too.
Yeah, he's playing the organ,
Oh,
or
right,
the
yeah.
accordion.
Right.
love the colors.
Uh-huh.
Bright
I love color.
Yeah, color, you were saying from the time you were very small, you loved to use the black line and then color in contrast.
Well, I think probably it came from, the old-fashioned coloring books. Well, they aren't
colors.
that old-fashioned. Yeah, I think that's where it came from. Because I remember lots of coloring books when I was a kid.
Wonderful. How do you get your ideas? Would you send that out?
I honestly don't know. Sometimes I have an idea before I start. What I do is I paint the paper with black gesso to start with. The whole thing's black. And when it dries, I make a very quick pencil sketch. Very quick. And that sort of leads me into whatever this one's going to be about.
So use paper?
These were all done on that really good watercolor paper. Nowadays, I'm using more canvases.
How does that watercolor paints then?
They're acrylics, yeah.
So you're essentially painting on black color.
Yeah. A lot of artists actually undercoat their, it's not just white. Sometimes I've heard of them using a dark red ochre underneath.
I have many layers under. Where it gets started.
It's fun.
You know what I mean? Well, I've occasionally blacked out an old painting that I didn't like.
Yeah, and start over.
Yeah. And it works.
We just leave the color there and see what
Yeah.
happens.
I'll have to x-ray it.
Find out what's going
Yeah.
on.
Well, it gives a brilliance to your color.
It does. The black always highlights the color.
Huh.
That's why the show with Evangelia was so interesting, because she worked in black and white. She had her black and white originals there, and I had my colored originals. And so it was black and white color, black and white color, and it made a good wall. So let's see.
Well, let's hold this one.
Can you talk,
This
I
one.
have a quick question, you said you kind of start in on it. So is like, for example, with this, how would you, tell us about how you built that? Like, did you start with one of the dogs and then everything grew out of it?
Yeah.
That's
I think
amazing.
so, yeah.
You start with one of the dogs and everything grew out of it.
Yeah.
Do you look at anything or just all from your memory and your imagination?
All from memory and imagination. Once in a great while, I'll see
I'll get that
something.
microphone there.
Every once in a while, I'll see something that strikes a chord. On Wednesdays, I go over to the Goodwill Art Studios. And what started off as a volunteer job has worked into I paint while I'm there, and they get to keep them and sell them. And so somebody was doing a little short class or lesson in drawing, not drawing something else, like putting up a shoe and drawing a shoe. And I just happened to walk in at that moment, and so I put out my box of paints that I carry with me, and I drew that. And it worked into a 16 by 20 canvas, and I think it's going to be a series now.
You drew the paints, or you drew the...
Yeah, I just drew the paints. And then you'd be surprised how strange and interesting the shapes could. I mean, the tubes were ancient and gnarly, and they had bumps and lumps in them. And they were all scattered in this box that I carry around. Used to have salad, and, those big boxes you get at the grocery store with lettuce and stuff in them. They make great paint carriers. I hate to throw those things out. Anyway, I painted that. I think it's going to be a series now.
What will be in the series?
Paints and how you paint them.
Did you have a show? And once you have the series, you have a show, or how do you do
No, I don't. I have kind of given up having shows. Evangelia was kind enough to throw me to the wolves, so to speak, and said, let's have a show. So So I said, fine. But I'm just not very good at going out and drumming up business.
This has a different kind of theme. Our animals, we have angels in this one, huh?
Yes, I think from the imagination and sometimes getting old to imagine angels. So this is, I don't know when, I guess at Goodwill I started doing these acrylic hues. They're fascinating and they remind me of tendrils coming out of the earth, new life coming out.
Like ferns.
Like ferns, yes, exactly. And the little house, to me, seems like the soul.
Oh.
So,
It's very, I like that one.
If you wanted to make money for Goodwill, those would be easy to reproduce and make wonderful cards. They'd be
Yeah.
Well, they would have to do that part of it. And I'm perfectly open to that. They just are not that open to it. I did some Christmas cards for them one year and they all sold out, but they aren't asking me for another set. So.
Now, do you use acrylic paints in your canvas?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oil paints are just too messy.
Oh, the mess, it was mess
Yeah.
with my brain.
And they smell. At least sometimes they do. And I just don't like to deal with that. I paint on a rug. I have a nice rug under my table. So, you know, I'm not about to fool with stuff that's... I like simplicity. That's one reason I guess I don't get out there and try and sell them more. I'll be at ComFest this year. If anybody makes it to ComFest, look for me under the trees. Where it's shady.
That's pretty good.
oh, that's great.
Yeah. I have a nephew and a friend who are helpful in doing those things. I can't physically manage it without Jay around or somebody else. So I have to pick and choose carefully. I don't want to abuse the friendship.
This one.
Oh, right. That one I was listening to Game of Thrones. And it just sort of built itself. I love doing all the rocks and there's a dragon up there and so Game of Thrones is wonderful.
So you're drawn from what's around you and how it inspired you?
Right.
Like whatever you learned something new or something just a little different?
Right. I don't set up still lifes generally.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
almost
like
like stream
that
of
one,
consciousness.
where did you start?
Yeah.
It's like stream of consciousness for you.
Right.
Like if you were a writer, you would just be writing, but you're painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody could write the stories pretty cool. You'd be a wonderful illustrator.
Yeah.
That's what everybody says, but I tried, I talked to an illustrator one time, and he said, well, you have to present a portfolio to a publisher, and you have to do the same character many times. And I kind of tried that, and it just didn't inspire me at all.
Because dreams aren't always the same, are they?
I would do, they make a great, coffee table book, but they're just my things, and they aren't anybody else's inspiration, you know. Somebody can talk to me and get me inspired, and I'm okay that way, but I need that outside inspiration before I can, I just don't do well when somebody says, draw 3 pigs, you know, and draw them 4 times.
When you did that, where did you start there?
Well, I started with a very quick sketch. I remember doing the tops of the buildings, and I had done several before this of castles with the turrets on top, and then this followed. I think this came after I'd done the others. So.
And that little dragon
dragon.
Dragon.
It's a dragon.
Floating on the cloud. It's weird.
Yeah.
We still wonder.
He needs wings, but I found that afterwards.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
He doesn't need him. Is
Are there any people in the picture anywhere?
a little self?
I think
No,
so.
not really.
It looked like, to me, like somebody on the sailboat, but it's not.
There's an owl.
Yeah, it's just-
There's a cat right
Oh, that
there.
cat.
Oh,
Is
wow.
that your kitty cat?
Well, a cat.
That-
At one time I had 8 cats, so it could be one of them maybe.
How large have you ever gone?
Well, about 16 by 20, it seems to be about the largest that I've done. And I think I'm going bigger, actually. The one of the paint box was done on 16 by 20 canvas, just old Acrylic stuff. And I think I like that. I haven't worked big before, except when I was in school. And I tend to have small paintings, and they also don't sell well. They like big. Galleries love big, so. But I haven't had facilities to do big. And I like to work for a couple of hours and then go watch TV. I very much like my home, even though I'm investigating places that I can go now. But I like being surrounded by my cat, my TV, I like having all of my stuff around me. It's hard for me to work in a studio that's totally separate. If it's part of my home, I'm okay. Then I can go to another room if I have to.
Has that always been the case?
Yes, it seems to be. When I was in school, of course, we had studios, but I never liked it. It was always cold and unfriendly, and I like having my house around me.
When is the best time that you feel like your inner muse is out for you?
Well, when I go to Goodwill, I have about 3 hours that I work there on Wednesdays, and that's always good. And then, since I work at the library, I come home and I'm often tired, and so that I don't get a lot of studio time. I tried coffee, that didn't work. I tried sugar, that didn't work. I tried giving up sugar, and that didn't work.
What do you do at the library?
I'm a CSA. I check in books, check out books.
That's tiring job.
It's about 6.5 hours a day,
Every day?
4 days a week.
Well, libraries don't, they're all do it yourself.
Well, you'd be surprised how much behind the scenes there is. We get big boxes of books every day that are holds that come in that people have reserved through our main library, but they come from a consortium of libraries. And we have to get those checked in, then they have to go on the shelf, and then people throw their books through the slot that says return here. You have to check all those books in. They have to go on carts, and then the shelvers come by, and they pick up carts and take them and shelve them. So there's really a lot behind the scenes.
What branch do you work at?
Main library downtown, the new one. And I like it.
Well, as you were saying to me, Judy, you really like working with the people to
Yes,
serve.
I like the people I work with, and I really like the activity. I tend to be a hermit. That's my inner hermit. And it gets pretty boring sometimes. So at least there's some action going on down at the library. So I
You know,
hope
they say about Anthony in the desert, about 300 AD, that he hung out in that hermitage, like you're describing, but at one point, he just had to get out of there and formed a community. So,
Another hermit.
you're describing that, you're describing that beautifully. In other words, that time that you have to do this is wonderful. It's like a hermitage, and you come out of it to be at our main library.
Right.
Judy,
That's a pretty good description.
beautiful.
I always expected that somewhere in a past life I was a nun in a nunnery somewhere.
Did you paint in a similar style when you were a student?
No, this is strictly me. When
So
I was
how
a
long have you been working this way?
Well, I had an interim of about 10, 15 years where I was a weaver. And then after that, I got about 10 or 15 years as a quilt maker. And I made big wall quilts. I mean, they were huge. And then I got so I just couldn't handle the hugeness anymore. And then I started painting about 1995. And so I've been at this ever since. This is something I can manage no matter what my physical limitations are. And, you know, it was hard for me to give up the quilt making because I really liked that. But I just couldn't handle the pushing those big things underneath the needle and sitting there day after day and my back got to me.
Did you study art at school?
Yes, I did. I have a BFA and an MA. So, and I didn't do any of this, although I think I learned about color and shape and form when I went to school. And then it took a long time going through weaving and quilt making to get to this. And now I use everything I learned about shape and color and everything came back.
Now, do you, because everything is dominantly bright colors, real vivid, I love it. Do you have a hard time painting monochromatic, like gray on gray? I do, or like different shades of blue, or?
Yeah, I don't paint that way, but I have done some
Yeah.
scratch board, which
Yeah.
is white and black.
Yeah.
And Evangelia gave the Art Quilt Network a couple of instructions a couple of times, and I enjoyed doing the scratch board. I've done some of that at Goodwill as well. And I can work that way, but color just always calls me back.
Do you remember what the first painting of this era was?
This style?
I was just thinking that, Inga.
I
I
know.
was just going to ask that.
I have an attic with about 250 originals, all matted and in sleeves in my attic. But I don't know what the original painting was. It always involved excuse me.
So did you just wake up one morning and say, this came out, this type of thing came out?
Almost.
Yeah.
It was almost that sudden. I knew I was getting out of quilt making, and so I decided to try some drawings and paintings, and that's what happened.
Did you like children's books, or did you have any children relatives or anything that you related to? Because that's wonderful for children's illustration.
I still got some of the original children's books I had, but and of course for a while I shelved in the children's library, so I saw a lot of books, but I'm never sure where the inspiration comes from.
I would think if you're going to do a big one, acrylic dries so fast, that would be hard to do.
No, I work fast.
Oh,
I'm a fast painter, and I like it that way. If I'd have paint up and down my arm, it didn't dry fast. As it is, I have old sweatshirts that I put on that have cake around here. So they have to be there.
I
That's right.
so can relate.
So when you say that, how long did it take for you to do this?
Probably about 8 to 10 hours. So in the course of a week, I'll do it an hour at a time or 2 hours at a time, and I find if I sit too long, I get stiff. So I get up and I move around. I go do something. I have an exercise bicycle downstairs. It's too bad I can't paint and exercise.
Your Bubba must have a great personality as a cat. Did you start with this cat, did you say?
Well, that's not Bubba, but,
But Bubba could inspire you, huh?
well, I suppose he could, yes. I've probably got sketches of him in my sketchbook somewhere. I really think it's, I go back sometimes and I look through my sketchbooks for ideas. Yeah, so it's like part of your brain that you store, you know. You can go back and look through them and get inspired. So if you get really, down when you can't, no ideas come, go back through your old sketchbooks and you'll find something that you kind of like, that you didn't really explore. And I really believe in keeping sketchbooks. Don't throw those out. They're like like a CD-ROM.
Does anybody else have that experience?
Yes.
Yes, tell us about it.
When I've run out of ideas, like she
Nice
has.
and loud here so everybody can hear.
When I've run out of ideas, like you, it's okay, I can talk loud. When I run out of ideas, I do go back into them to get ideas, and then maybe take one picture and another picture, because like what I have in my sketchbook doesn't always look really good because I paint very super abstract, and it's more intuitive. So whatever was going on, I can't really explain sometimes what's going on. It's just, it comes out and I'm thinking it, and that's when I decide to name the painting or something, because I'm very intuitive painter. I paint what I feel, what's around me. So I get ideas from that, but I know it's gonna change once I start getting paint on the canvas, because I'm gonna see, because I spray paint and then I tape and I paint over the tape, and it has different effects in the background. So when I get to that point, I will look at it and see what I see in it, and maybe implement one drawing out of here, but then I see all kinds of different things in there, and it comes out, whatever's there. I can't duplicate them, so.
It just starts.
Yes,
It
that's
gives you
how
that
it starts.
push.
Yeah. I'm working with acrylics, but also spray paint. Sometimes I'll put dirt on the canvas. I just did it recently, where I painted over with dirt. I sometimes use material. Sometimes I'll use newspaper. Just whatever inspires me that's around, and just test it and see where it can go. Sometimes if you tape and you put duct tape or just regular tape, and then you paint around them, and you just keep painting around it, and then you add spray paint to it, and then you come and white out the part that you want and put your characters. So I start with the foundation of whatever is going to be the background, and then I build off of it. So some people start with the background, I do office.
Is that, do you work big?
The biggest one I've done is, I think, 60 by 30, but mainly I work 24 by whatever the size is, I don't know. And mainly I've been working, because I don't have limited space, I'm working 16 by 20s lately, but there's so much going on, and it's like, I get frustrated with myself because there's so much going on, and I can't do anything but paint that way. So right now, I'm taking a sculpture class downstairs so that I can open my mind up, relax, and not get frustrated with the painting. But yeah, I've been doing it about over 10 years. I'm self-taught. I've never had a painting lesson in my life. Like she said, as a kid, I wanted to play with the blocks. I wanted to play at the easel at school. They couldn't pull me away from it. But somewhere with life situations, I got distracted and didn't go into that. And then when I drove taxi in Las Vegas to stay awake, I would doodle.
Did you say you drove a taxi in
Yes,
Las Vegas?
yes, I did. I did.
That's interesting.
And that's where all this come out. I lived in Las Vegas for 18 years, so I drove a taxi for 11 of those years. Yeah.
But you could be a writer for all.
Oh, I'm not a writer though. I
Thank you
can't
for
write.
sharing that.
But I've always taken like somebody's face and I make it my own, but also the characters in the painting are symbolic of myself. They may not look like me, but they're very symbolic. So that's why when I see her paintings, I go, well, that's very childlike, the inner child in me, being playful and stuff. I have a little girl that's got pigtails in mine and lately, and she's very playful, and she's me. She's that little girl in me. So I get with the pets, whatever's around, they're picking up on it. Anyway, I'm probably.
Thank you.
I
What
can't
do you
stop.
think, Judy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else have
Anything you're doing?
What about that inner child in you, Judy?
Well, I had no kids, so I had been on whatever I could remember from childhood, and that's pretty much it. There probably is an inner child in all of us that's playful, and I think once you connect to that, you can be an artist. It doesn't matter how sophisticated your work is, you know, whether it's recognizable or abstract. That doesn't matter. It's somehow a playful part of you is what's really important to find again, and you can find it at any age. I could have probably started these 40 years ago, 50 years ago, if I'd been into the medium. But I was really into weaving and fabric for a while. But
What, on your quilts, were they pictorial or?
yes, they were wall quilts. There was one very large one that was the biggest one I've ever done. It was called Butterfly Woman, and she had her wings spread out like that. It was, I don't remember, it was probably 10 by 8 by 10 or something like that. It was huge
It
for
was
me.
like a sculpture quilt?
Yeah, a lot of found fabrics.
Did you
beads.
use bold colors in them?
Oh yeah, lots of color. Yeah.
Where are they? Where are your quilts?
They're folded up in the house. They rolled up, and you know.
Well, you're like your house, you've got so much goodness.
Well, there's no room for those things to be out. I'd love to have a retrospective sometime and just bring them out again for a last hurrah.
That's right.
Do you think that, because something that's a common theme in your work I'm seeing is pattern play? So how much that probably was
Yeah.
influenced by your working
Well,
with
it's
fabric?
fabric, yeah. Yeah, I think that came into play. I even have fabric that I've hand painted that I don't know what to do with. I've got so much stuff in that house. I'm at the point of bringing in somebody to help me divest, you know. It's getting to be a bit much, but
You must have children. At the library, you see a lot of children. We have a lot of children's activities.
yes, they
Is that
do.
an inspiration?
Well, I don't really get a chance to participate over there. It's across the atrium, and I see the books come in, and sometimes I shelf over there, but I don't really get to participate. I know one of the guys who works there gets to go over there and draw animals for their ABCs.
Oh.
So he enjoys that.
Participate at home after you're through.
What do you all do?
I'm a photographer.
Uh-huh.
And a wonderful one. All over the city.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Her calendars, yeah, her calendars, for example, bring us to different places in the city every month. I love it.
I'm a machine. I just keep cranking.
People buy your photographs and turn them into paintings.
Yes.
You really have to have an eye for that, you know, it's just, not anybody can do that. It's like, you gotta have a special eye.
It's interesting because when I travel, invariably somebody will start following me around, you know, and taking the shots where I'm taking, and then they say, mine doesn't look like yours when I was standing right beside you.
Where do you find your inspiration?
Everywhere. And anything I see, I'm always looking through a lens, even when I don't have my camera. What would you take right now? Oh, I take a picture of Judy surrounded by all that color.
My husband was a photographer too, and so I watched him for many years.
What medium is everybody using? Are you using oils? I thought so. I kind of thought so because everything's like in its place with oils.
Yeah.
How about you?
Headman oils, right now I think I'll try acrylic. I've used everything. Pastel, watercolor.
Do you mix them? Like, are you
I haven't, but I'd
doing them
like to
in a
get
mixed
into it.
media? Like painting with
Once I did.
acrylics and using like oil pastels or?
One time I said I'm going to try it, bring my acrylics, I painted this big flower. Oh, it was a central tile plein air, and it's still on. And I brought flowers. I'm going to use acrylics. And it looked pretty bad. And I said, oh, I'm going to go home and put oil on it. Maybe it look kind of softer.
Yeah.
And it turned out good. But I don't usually do.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more of what you do, it's just fun stuff.
Well, Michael does fantastic needle cross stitch. It's works of art. You believe me, that she does.
But it's not original, it's just.
Yeah, but you know, that's like me with the woman on the picture. I could do that same pattern that you're doing. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. You just showed me the most exquisite
I know.
work. I can't imagine that the way it came together is not original with Michael Leon.
I work from a chart, there's somebody else design.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's the
But there is
execution of it, you know, it's not like open to everybody.
Yeah.
The becoming is an expression of the art. And it's truly the process that you're so true to. It's gorgeous. Thank you.
Everything's creative. I don't know why they say artists are the creative people. Everybody's creative. Whatever they do. It takes creativity. Sure.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was just thinking of something. I told you that I took drawing lessons and paint lessons from Anita Miller in 2001, 2002. And I did it because my son said, Mom, you're an artist. I said, oh no, because I said, well, but think of all the other ways you express yourself. I said, okay, I'll take the course. I did. And I loved it. And I haven't had time to come back to it. But I took something out because it's just, a lot of you know we are back in our home after a year and a half after a fire. And I opened this and I thought, oh my God, I did this. My son said I could do this, and I did it. And it's a seashell on a shore with birds flying around it. And I thought, that's 2001. I said, I got to get back to this. And it's like we're calling each other to being artistic in whatever way it is. Thank you for your conversation. So maybe I'll take an art course. Who knows? if we could find some time, right, Judy? You've got 6.5 hours every day at the library. When do you do all your wonderful work?
Well, sometimes at night, if I have the energy, or sometimes on the weekend. It kind of depends. There are times when I know I have to get back in the studio because it's calling, you know. And usually that's about the time the cat shows up and says, pet me, pet me. Yeah, he has an enormous yowl. I think he's deaf. And so when he calls to me, it's an enormous yowl.
At least you don't
Right
have
as
a
you are
dog
beginning
that
to
you
paint.
have to
Right. Yeah, I get too involved. If I get too involved, he seems to figure that one out and comes for some attention. So I try and leave him with a little food in the kitchen so that I can have a little peace and quiet.
Is he a big kitty cat?
He is.
He's a monster.
He's about 12 pounds. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I feed him treats all the time
Aw.
because, you know, you gotta keep him coming back for more.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
spoiled.
don't want him to give up.
At his age, he's entitled.
Yeah. Nice.
I think what I thought that you said that was really interesting that I could relate to was when you're talking about how you work in short time periods, like 2 hours. I'm the exact same way. It's emotionally and physically exhausting during that time, and then I have to take a break. If someone said you have to paint for 8 hours today, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's
Right.
2 or 3 hours maximum,
Right.
and then I'm spent. I'm
I,
done.
I can't paint unless I'm feeling it. Like feeling that urge to do it
Yeah.
and inspired by something. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time painting. You know, because because I will smile when I'm painting sometimes when I'm getting it. You know, when you're getting it, you kind of have a little smirk on your face and you're like, okay, let's do this. You know, or I can change this like that. But I can't paint like unless it's like in me to do it that day. Like something inspires me when I get still in my bed enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that little connection that and sometimes you can actually listen to yourself and you'll know that it's directing you to go there and you were going to go over here and you just have to go ahead and even if you're just straightening things up, you know, if you aren't sure what you want to do, go back and you look through old sketchbooks. You make a new sketch or something, just anything to make that connection again. And I don't know exactly where that connection comes from, but there are times when I'm painting it, something says, "Look blue there." You know, it just directs you. And if you let yourself kind of go with the flow, good things happen.
That's a wonderful description.
Well, and it's addicting
Oh,
to
yeah.
get to that level, right? Because when you're at that base level, you're just thinking about it in a practical term. And that's almost like out of your mind experience when you're at that level where you're just creating,
Right.
you know,
A meditative state.
it's just
Yeah.
coming.
I think Picasso must have been in that state pretty regularly.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting there.
But I think we can all
Yeah.
do something, you know, along those lines.
Then you can overdo it. I think this is great. And I overdo it. And I,
Isn't that great that you
It's
realize-
hard to know how far to push it, like with the painting, because like sometimes I'll have something in there and I'm like, damn, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work, and I keep trying to work with that one thing, and it's like, this is not working. I gotta start over in that area.
Sometimes it's not working because of another area that you think is great.
Yeah.
And sometimes just covering over the great part will make the other one come alive.
Okay, thank you. That's a good way to put
Yeah. sometimes I get too involved in just, oh, wow, you know, that's a great spot, and I'm not going to touch that one again.
Yeah.
But that is not working with the rest of it, so you cover that one over. I just black it out.
It's
And,
like throwing it out of balance somehow.
No, not
it
always.
just isn't working. I don't know how to explain it other way.
I mean, not always. It's like because you know that once you get the right thing in there, you know it's just going to fall into place. You're just
Right.
going to, you'll just do it. It'll just be automatic in you as far as that imagination. Otherwise, you're just stressing yourself out.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for fun, but.
If you think one part is just
Yeah.
too perfect, I can't touch
Yeah.
that one, then that's the time to get rid of it.
Yeah. I like that concept.
Yeah, that's right. But sometimes you just need to get rid of part of the piece. I've even blacked out entire paintings.
Yeah.
Start fresh.
Oh my gosh.
I just did it recently, so.
Yeah.
Well, Judy, this has been
Thank
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and may you continue to brighten our world with